Monsters from outer space came crashing down on Earth and immediately began to annihilate everything, wreaking relentless havoc upon the unsuspecting humans. These aliens are next to impossible to kill, as their exoskeletons are impervious to effectively everything. In the movies, bullets, even high-caliber rounds, ricochet off their exteriors. If they hear you, they hunt you, and there is nothing that you can do about it. Their only weakness is when they open up their heads and expose their flesh. The aliens have hypersensitivity to sound. They have pinpoint hearing, so if you step on a leaf and it makes a sound, they will instinctively rush to your location and break your body. This is now a world where sound can kill. The sci-fi horror movie that is A Quiet Place came out in 2018, with more movies following it, and I love the series. It's tense and terrifying done right. It's also a little different, and now the franchise has expanded to its own spin-off video game. The day that it was released, I immediately jumped on it, and it was a really good scary game. It was way better than I initially had expected. It was phenomenal. Luckily, these aliens aren't real, and I don't have to worry about talking too loudly as I explain to you the full story of A Quiet Place: The Road Ahead. Also, at the end, I'm going to give a little bit of lore about the aliens, where they come from, what they eat, anything about them that I can find out. If that interests you, that's going to be at the very end. If at any point you find yourself enjoying your short time here with me, consider liking and subscribing. Doing so will ensure that our main character, Alex, and her unborn baby make it out of this situation alive. Before the Death Angels arrived inside of meteors and brought upon the apocalypse, we come to a time months before the invasion where we're introduced to Alex and Martin. They are in the forest admiring a deer when Martin hears a noise and leaves to go find out what it is. Alex soon follows after to investigate. Walking around, we immediately take notice of how sound plays a huge role in this game. Stepping in water or tapping a can produces noise that is emphasized. The environment is highly reactive to every touch, immersing us into this atmospheric horror game. Climbing out of a window, Alex cuts her hand.
Shit. Seriously, where is he?
I want to suck your blood!
Martin wanted to play a joke on her by scaring her. Not a very smart move, and kind of a weird one considering that they're very close. You would think that he knows how she is, and that she has asthma attacks, so inducing panic in her is kinda idiotic. Alex also mentions that she had lost someone and didn't want to lose any more loved ones. That's why she started freaking out when Martin couldn't be found. Martin's mother, Laura, comes to help, and then we transition to day 105 after the alien invasion. Martin and Alex come to a ranch to scavenge for supplies and food to bring back to the resource-depleted hospital that they're staying at. Luckily, the rain is covering their noises. Here, at the ranch, we find a note explaining that sound is what attracts the creatures to come and attack, also denoting that when near waterfalls, where sound is diluted and absorbed into the noise of the water crashing, people can make as much noise as they want. Inside, walking on sand to avoid making any noise, we attempt to open the door to the pharmacy, but it is locked. Heading upstairs, we try to find another way in. We see remnants of what this place used to be before it was demolished by the aliens. People, children were living here, struggling to survive. And honestly, it was probably a kid that got them killed. In the movies, the kids make really dumb decisions that get people killed. Finding a screwdriver, we go through a vent, finding a collectible spaceship, which by the way is a reference to the kid in the first movie, Bo, who played with a toy spaceship before getting murked by the Angel of Death. Dropping down from the vent, we find a map, and Alex mentally notes how she's tired of a stomach bug. We find some keys and a note talking about how the National Guard has a sort of safe haven for survivors. Once in the pharmacy, we find medicine to treat the nausea, an inhaler for her asthma, and a pregnancy test. Alex takes the test and finds out that she's pregnant, which is a very terrible situation to be in right now. See, kids are already hard to raise under the best of conditions, and right now, it is literally one of the worst times to have a mini human. Those things make so much noise. Comment down below why you would or would not have a kid if you were in this situation. My wife and I would definitely not, because the kid would probably get us killed. Leaving the pharmacy, Martin has found a safe room where they're going to spend the night. Martin gives Alex a glove he found, and Alex tells him that she's pregnant. It's a good trade-off. Martin is excited. Alex is scared because she doesn't know how they're going to keep the baby safe, and because she is afraid of how Laura, Martin's mom, is going to react. Something happened a while back, and now Laura absolutely hates Alex. She detests her. Martin reassures her that everything is going to be fine and that Alex, quote-unquote, saved him that day. Moving forward to the next day while leaving the ranch, Alex gets her leg stuck in a log, making a loud noise. So she starts freaking out, and she drops her inhaler, making another noise, revealing their precise location. The alien quickly lunges, and before it can actually get to Alex...
Hey! Over here! Hey!
My mouth dropped. But honestly, I love my wife, and if I was in that situation, the only thing racing in my head would be to do just what he did. Back at the hospital, Kenneth, Alex's dad, who is a doctor, is checking in on her to see how she is holding up. He also confirms that she is pregnant, and he was able to tell before even seeing the pregnancy test. Fearing Laura's scorn, Alex doesn't want to tell her about her grandchild. Instead, she tells Kenneth about the National Guard camp information that she found back at the ranch. Kenneth is understandably ambivalent about even leaving because of a multitude of reasons, like what if they're not even there, or if the place is even real, or what if it's a trap? Anyway, he plans to contact the camp to see if anybody is there, and Alex says that she's going to hop over to the storage room to get supplies for their trip. Before leaving, we take a look around the room, finding out more about Alex. We see that she loved to write music. She liked to make music. We also see on the board that Alex and Martin were childhood sweethearts. In Martin's room, we see that he was into traveling, vampires, and music. We also find 2 letters, one from Martin to his mom telling her to lay off of Alex for quote-unquote what happened that day and how she wishes it was her instead. From this, we can gather that somebody died on Invasion Day and that Alex was somehow involved. Martin was saved in the process, but Laura harbors a seething hate for Alex now. Another letter is from Martin to Alex talking about their plans to go to the ranch, and we all know how that turned out. After grabbing supplies, we read a letter from Laura, the now elected leader of the community, talking about how everybody at the hospital needs to stop communicating with the outsiders because the more people that come to the hospital, the more of a death wish it becomes. After that, we stop by her father's room, and Alex gets supplies in a briefcase that's on the desk with a letter from her dad. Everything in that briefcase was already supposed to be a gift to her from her father, but I guess we'll just take it now. We also see a letter that Kenneth wrote showcasing how much he loves and misses his wife, Julia. I love my wife too. Back in our room, Alex takes a nap staring at the pregnancy test. When she awakens, Laura is in her room staring at the pregnancy test. Laura locks her in the room as she is now planning to protect her grandchild somehow. Kenneth opens the door for Alex later and then leads her to a vent, urging her to escape because Laura is crazy. Mark and Laura approach Kenneth, and when Kenneth doesn't give his daughter up to them, Mark, the bright head that he is, pushes their doctor hard, causing him to crash into a glass door, making a loud noise. I feel like in any type of apocalypse, the doctor, who can save lives and do all that kind of stuff, is probably the last person that you want to inflict any type of damage to. Like, doctors are extremely valuable. I don't know why you would do that. Anyway, the lights turn blood red, signaling that an alien is here. Looking for a way out, I quickly learned that the doors in this game all need WD-40 because every time I opened a door, it would squeak, alerting the monster. Making headway, we come face to face with the alien, and I'd have to admit, this section caught me off guard and had me freaking out. The monster comes from around the corner, slowly walking, inching closer to me, my heart beating harder and faster. And just when I think it's about to walk past, it turns around and walks into where I was hiding. I swear, I could hear my own heart beating. I've played quite a few horror games, but the fear and anxiety that I felt in this moment was tremendous. It was a crazy, dreadful feeling. Being able to do nothing except stay quiet, hoping that the monster goes away, but it's just not leaving. Admittedly, I was petrified, scared to even move, so I was in that small room for a while. In fact, I even made a mistake of using my inhaler, thinking that it was safe as the alien was walking away, but nope, it heard that. Eventually, I got the courage to push forward all the way to the front of the entrance, but seeing that the exit is no longer available to us, we went downstairs to the parking garage. And after maneuvering around the monster, we make it out safely. Alex recalls that her father instructed her to follow the train tracks. Making our way through the dark forest, also seeing that Mark and Laura made it out of the hospital, we come to the tracks, but we need a way to cross it as the ground has been obliterated and now there's this large gap. Using a plank we find in the building nearby, we make our way across only to be met with a hunting alien. You see, it had followed Mark and ended up tearing him to shreds. I failed to sneak past the monster the first time, and it got me. However, the second time around, I played it a little smarter and I narrowly made an escape, but it was right on me. We find a house nearby and proceeded through it, finding the remains of the people that used to be here. And, oh look, a Disneyland poster. Upon trying to leave the house, clumsy Alex falls off of the roof when she sees Laura is behind her. With all the falling and tripping and running that Alex is doing, I bet the baby is inside of there like, oh my gosh, what's going on? The monster comes rushing and Alex picks up a brick with intent to distract the alien to a different location. Successfully distracting the monster, we're able to get a plank to cross a gap and make it to the next location. And then we transition back to day one, to a time before Laura had a festering detest for Alex. Alex and her dad are at Martin's house, celebrating Kenneth's birthday, but her dad is melancholic because Julia, his wife, died. Robert is also still alive, that's Laura's husband. A guilt-ridden Martin calls to Alex in the hopes to reconcile for the dumb prank that he pulled. I ignored him at first, just to be petty, and to see if he had any extra dialogue. After some talking and flirting, Laura asks us to get a bottle opener. Heading inside, we learn more about Martin and his family. And then Alex sings for Martin. It's kind of awkward, to be honest. And then he takes us upstairs to the attic to show his parents' vinyl collection. Everybody here really loves music, but before heading up, we snoop around. In Martin's parents' room, we find a letter pertaining to a lawsuit where Laura is offering somebody $250,000 to settle a case, but the defendant wants more. Dear God, to just offer $250,000 like that? That's crazy. Must be nice. Another letter shows an email from Alex's dad, Kenneth, to Martin's dad, Robert, asking for a loan to help cover for the medical costs of Julia's treatment. Honestly, that's so sad. I can't imagine how devastating it would be if such a thing happened to my wife. Upstairs, we see the vinyl collection and Laura's shotguns. Martin explains that she has them for population control and that she works in wildlife management. But in the middle of their conversation, Alex hears something. First, it's her dad crying about the irony of being a doctor and not being able to save his own wife. And then, that's when the meteors come down from the sky and the world goes silent. Now, back in the present times, Alex arrives at the National Guard camp. However, there doesn't seem to be any sign of life. Noticing lights flashing in the distance, we ninja our way through the trap-infested camp, and of course, the monster is with us. But we make our way to where the lights were, and inside is Kenneth. He tells us that the hospital has fallen and that everybody there is no longer alive. He also notices the glove that Alex is wearing is now shredded, but considering it is memorabilia for Martin, she vehemently refuses to take it off. Kenneth moves the conversation forward, informing us that the group that was here before had made radio contact with somebody before leaving. However, the antenna is broken, so they can't access that radio frequency to see the message. Insisting that she do it, Alex tells her old man to sit down. Once at the watchtower, of course, the electricity is not working, so that gate isn't going to open. So now Alex has to find a way around. The side building is booby-trapped with a bear trap at the window that we throw a bottle on to activate. By the way, that is so messed up. To place a bear trap there, I mean, you know that was intentionally put there to mess somebody up. Rushing inside before the alien can come, we notice that the inside was purposely turned into a maze with beer bottle traps. Further in, we discover a dead guy with a picture of his daughter, as well as a letter. The letter talks about how his daughter was an absolute angel who brought him so much joy, but that raiders came to the camp and took everything, to the point that his daughter had cried from starvation, causing the monsters to come. This guy was the one who set up the traps. He was mad at the raiders, mad at anybody who was still alive because it meant that they had to step on someone else to survive. This guy was so livid at the loss of his daughter, he did not care who fell into his traps. He just wanted to send a message. In fact, this guy went so far over the edge that he wanted somebody to come through. He wanted them to make it past some of the traps. He wanted them to feel hope that they would get out, and then for them to know how it feels when hope dies. Good God, man. Transitioning forward, we make it past the man's traps, turn on the electricity, make it up to the watchtower, fix the antenna, and we find out that the National Guard has now moved their base off land. They discovered that the aliens can't swim. However, I wonder if that kills them, though. Like, do they need oxygen to survive if they are underwater? I mean, they made it through space where there is no oxygen for who knows how long. And if they go deep enough down into the water, would the pressure crush them? Or would something bigger down there be able to kill it? These are the important questions. And again, we're going to answer some of these at the end of the video. On the way back to meet our dad, we hear Laura on the radio trying to find out where Alex is. She states that if everybody had just listened, the hospital would have been fine. And then she comments even further, stating that everybody around Alex dies, and that Laura is only trying to protect everybody. But yeah, to be fair, everybody Alex knows seems to be dropping, even confirming that Robert, her husband, on top of Martin, her son, are gone because of Alex. Laura only aims to protect the grandchild inside of Alex because, again, even under the best of circumstances, it would be hard to survive with a child. Plus, Alex also has severe asthma attacks. Soon, we hear them in a tussle, when a gunshot goes off, killing her dad. And I don't get this. Laura always has a gun out in her hand, and if her intent is not to kill, why have it out in the first place? There are so many opportunities for accidents to happen. Anyway, immediately, the Death Angel comes running. Laura turns to see that Alex saw what she did to her dad, and Laura then gets swiped by the monster. However, she's still alive, so she crawls out, books it out of there, and the monster follows her. With her father gone, she's going to have to travel through a quiet place and the road ahead alone. I said it. There it is. I said the name of the game in the video. You guys ever do that? You're watching a movie, or you guys ever notice that you guys are watching a movie and then the actor says the name of the movie in the movie? Then you point it out like, oh, there he said it, or she said it. Is that just me? But Alex doesn't have time to grieve. She needs to get out of there before the alien finds her. After proceeding through a series of traps, narrowly avoiding death multiple times, we make it out of the camp and to a nearby waterfall where it's safe for Alex to now cry out and go through her grieving process. And she's gonna stay there throughout the entire night. The next morning, she's ready. She begins her trek to the harbor. Fast forwarding through a cave and a forest section, we come to a train wreck. Alex uses sandbags to cover the sounds of her footsteps and avoids the monster. We make our way into a train, climb out the window and cross under the bridge beams, slowly stepping across a train over broken glass, only to enter one of the train cars and have it crash down into the river below. Finding the note of another survivor, he shares his experience with one of the creatures, how it seemed to be scanning for his location. And then it happens to us. We have to sit still and not move a muscle. And this next part turns into an absolute nightmare because we now have to deal with multiple Death Angels, as the train crashing attracted a bunch of them to Alex's location. Making our way back up to the bridge, the ladder falls off, and when it hits the ground, it makes a huge noise, meaning that Alex can't just be quiet this time. She needs to run for her life. Desperately rushing forward, she eventually finds a hole in a wall, which she slides into. Taking a look back to day 1 of the extraterrestrial invasion, Alex is handed a shotgun to help defend against the predators that are chasing us.
Okay, simple. Right. Point, shoot, and reload. Like this.
One of the creatures is right on them. Alex is shaking, pointing the gun at the creature, terrified. The alien is about to walk off when Martin wakes up, but when he does, he makes a loud breathing noise, causing the alien to focus its attention on Martin. Laura attempts to cover Martin's mouth, but he'd already made the noise and already had the attention of the alien. It was too fast. Alex, quick on the trigger, wanting to defend her boyfriend, fires at the side of the monster, taking heat off of Martin. Robert valiantly jumps in front of Alex to protect her, like any good man wanting to defend his family would. He gets hooked in the back and pulled out of the van, like me reaching into a bag of chips. You know, I just realized we don't ever actually see the aliens eating humans. They always attack humans, but they never do anything after. Like, they just kill and destroy, and that's it. Laura glares at Alex with a calm rage, which I can kind of understand because that was the man of her life, but also it was kind of Martin's fault for waking up so loudly. I don't know, Laura should just understand that it's a tough situation altogether. Alex comes to inside of this pump station. It's really dark in here. I hate it. In order to get out of this pump station, we have to go through a long and dreadful series of mazes and small puzzles. I hate puzzles. And we have to do this all while trying to avoid the Death Angels. Now, not much happens story-wise in this section, although I did like this part where Alex comes to a small safe room where she takes a break and sings to the baby in her belly. I thought that was nice. A long while later, we finally make it out of that forsaken labyrinth and continue down our path to the harbor. However, first, we need to make it through the town. Naturally, it's not going to be a straight shot, so we push through a mechanic shop, a warehouse, and a tech store, where we discover that for some reason, when the aliens come near anything with high frequency, it's excruciatingly painful and causes them to open up their armored head, exposing their weak point. We saw this in the movie that high frequency sounds are their weakness. Their hearing is a double-edged sword. Making headway, we come up to the roof, and here we find a relatively funny note that is a reference to the pandemic of 2019 and 2020 in real life. Do you guys remember that? When the lockdown happened and everybody rushed to the stores and the humans were fighting each other over toilet paper? Man, my wife and I will never understand that. Like, why toilet paper? I wonder if our grandkids or our great-grandkids are going to read about this in the history books. Maybe they'll even ask, why toilet paper too? It's funny that the game put the reference in here. Moving forward, Alex finds another safe room, and this one has a piano, and she's quickly reminded of how much she misses music, but can't play it because the music would get her killed. Outside, we see that we're finally at the harbor and in need of a boat. Heading into the boathouse nearby, Alex falls through a grate. When the monster comes, it smashes the nearby monitors due to the high-frequency sound, and taking advantage of the fact that the monsters can't distinguish between sounds, we throw a bottle far away and it goes to the location of that crashing sound. Finding a security room later on, Alex discovers that there is a working boat, but it's at the fire station and it's relatively nearby. Once inside, we conquer more puzzles and mazes while avoiding the monsters. And when Alex brings the power back to the door shutters inside the fire station, it ironically starts a fire inside, and soon that is going to spread. It's a terrible situation for somebody with asthma. In the office, we see that the sprinkler system is down, and so, of course, we have to go fix it. After about a little over an hour of me getting frustrated because I kept getting lost, and this alien seemed to just keep going wherever I was going, following me into whatever area I was, no matter where I went, even if I wasn't making a sound, eventually we get the sprinklers working. As expected, the shutters still won't open automatically for some reason. Nothing ever really goes right. So Alex tries to head down there to open the gate manually. Even though there is still smoke, she still decides that she's going to just hold her breath. Of course, the smoke begins to fill her lungs. However, she is in a fire station. She just went through hours of trouble to do all that other stuff. Why couldn't she just find one of those masks real quick to help her breathe through the smoke? Alex faints, but she's saved by Laura, who apologizes to her for everything. The grandmother places her hand on her unborn grandchild and tells Alex to go, giving her the mask. You can see the unspoken exchanges and graces shared between the two here. It's very nice. When Alex makes it to the boat, the alien is about to pounce, but a loud horn sounds off, detracting the attention from Alex and to the lighthouse. Laura gave her life to allow them the chance to escape. However, one Death Angel is adamant about not letting Alex escape on the boat. Luckily, it misses. And just when we think that we're safe, the monster does the classic peekaboo, I'm still here move and pops out from under the water. I think it was able to just hook onto the side or the bottom of the ship or something because these things can't swim. So if I was Alex, I would probably be worried about the integrity of the ship now, because these monsters have giant claws. Because there are instruments on the boat that emit high frequencies, the Death Angel is stunned, allowing Alex time to grab the nearby shotgun and destroy its face. The next morning, Alex hears someone contacting them on the radio.
Hello? Hello? Is someone there?
We're here.
As promised, I wanted to quickly cover some of the lore behind the Death Angels, but before that, I just want to say thank you for enjoying the video so far, and to give you guys a gentle reminder to demolish that like and subscribe button. I would be interested to see if this generates enough hype to get them to do a DLC or a second game or another movie, because I really like this series, and apparently many people on YouTube enjoy it too. So, According to John Krasinski, who directed and starred in the movies, the Death Angels hail from a galaxy far, far away, on a planet with no light, brutally harsh conditions, and a gravity higher than that of the one on Earth. So this explains to us why they don't have any eyes, as they adapted to the no light situation, not needing eyes, instead taking on hypersensitive hearing. They evolved to have their inhuman durability. It also explains why they can't swim, because gravity has made them evolve to be extremely dense. They also survived the frigid cold of outer space for who knows how long, and were unaffected by the high heat from breaking through Earth's atmosphere. Speaking on that, the reason they came to Earth was because of their home planet inexplicably and violently exploding, sending chunks of that planet towards Earth. And that's why we see them arriving on asteroids. The inside of their heads are mostly ears, and they open up their faces to help focus on and locate sounds. They're extremely hostile and immediately, violently attack anything that makes noise, possibly due to the said harsh conditions on their home planet. They are extremely hostile and immediately attack anything that makes noise, possibly due to the said harsh conditions of their home planet. They are like animals, and they act in their nature, probably seeing, through echolocation, anything as a potential threat. So, if they hear a sound, they instinctively react to that. It's also said that they're not that intelligent, beyond communicating with each other in packs, talking to each other in screeches. And here is the answer to my question from earlier about them not eating humans. In the movie A Quiet Place Day 1, they were actually seen eating plants that came with them on their meteors, and from this we can gather that they're herbivores. Imagine that. If these plant-eating mother lovers are that vicious and powerful enough to obliterate human society, just think about what the other creatures are like back on their home planet. It's a great thing that these Demogorgons aren't real, because if they were, humanity would have a huge issue on their hands. But you know who wouldn't have an issue with these guys? The Space Marines from the Warhammer universe. Click this video to see how those guys would have dealt with the Death Angels.